Hello, and welcome to this episode of our Chaplains Chat. Thank you for taking some time to spend with us here today. I'm Larry Crabtree, chaplain with the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office and the Maryland State Police.
And I'm Chaplain Charlie Wharton with the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office.
Well, Charlie, I know for us in our actual area, the tri-counties of St. Mary's, Charles, and Calvert, we are in the midst of developing what we're calling a peer support program. And in fact, here in Maryland, some mandates are coming down for a need of this kind of program within our law enforcement agency. So we thought it might be an appropriate time to actually discuss what that is, what's a peer support program, how that affects us as individuals, and how we can all be involved and take advantage of that. And so let's just start with a little introduction. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a peer support program, peer support team. What does that mean?
When we talk about peer support, that's exactly what it is. It's police officers or deputies or whoever else that are supporting one another. It's not something that is that's driven by mental health professionals. It's not driven by the administration. It really is a grassroots effort to take care of each other.
I mean, a lot of times there's certain helps that are out there, but it might be putting fire departments together with law enforcement or some other rescue squad personnel, but each of those are unique. They each have unique atmospheres and needs. So this is trying to we're focused on law enforcement and what they understand, what they know, that would be a peer group.
There's a phrase out there it's homogenous groups, and it's a phrase that is used a lot in mental health, and that's like exposure and like training. And when law enforcement goes to a scene, it's different than when a lot of other entities go. So by providing peer support, you've got somebody who automatically understands what it's like and the stressors that go along with it.
And probably in its simplest explanation, it would be how to be a good friend and how to care for those that are like you and that are around you. So it's not really a complicated concept, but it's one I think that we need to put on the table and openly address because it's really, really helpful to know you're surrounded by people that care and understand you. That would be a peer support team.
And I think the acknowledgement that there is a uniqueness in this profession is something that kind of drives this. You know, you look at the profession from through two different lenses. The first one is the cumulative stress, the day-to-day stuff that goes on just by pinning on the badge and hopping in a patrol car. But there's the second aspect of it, and that is the critical incident or the traumatic impact that it can have. And these peer support programs are designed to help law enforcement to navigate through those different issues.
I mean, law enforcement face this day in and day out, and they never know. I mean, one day it might be the most boring thing on the earth, and the next day everything's out of control and it's more than you can handle. And very few people understand a life that constantly faces that kind of uncertainty and this kind of pressure. So it's just knowing you have somebody around that you can talk to, that's listening, and you trust, because trust is a big component of this as well.
One of my favorite definitions of law enforcement is hours of boredom interrupted by moments of sheer terror. And I think that there's something to that. And it's something that a peer support program can help as law enforcement deals with that. And as we look at the peer support program, I really think there are two qualities that are vitally important. The first one is if you want to be involved in something like this, you've got to have the desire to do it. It's got to be something that you are willing to invest in, because if your name is on a sheet and somebody calls and they need something, you got to be willing to go. And then the second thing, and we're going to talk about more about this a little bit later on, and that is the ability to have confidentiality.
And I think you talk to any law enforcement officer, probably the thing they are most concerned about if they're going for help is this going to stay between us? Is this going to be confidential? And can I trust you so I can be vulnerable? That is critically important.
There can be a lot of discussion about how do we fund this, about how does it look on paper, but I think that is going to be the number one issue that's going to have to be dealt with.
I agree. Well, Charlie, let's wrap up our session here this morning. And again, we're just happy you're joining us, and we trust that these are being valuable for your life and will help understand some of these things that you're going to see coming down the pike here in the next weeks. But until we come together again, please remember, be strong
And be safe.